Welcome to GW Days Bulldog Fantasy. We're here once a week to talk about fantasy football. I'm Matthew Johnson alongside Jared McMurray. How you doing, Jared?
Just peachy, Matt.
Alright, Jared. Who do you believe is going to be a top quarterback for the viewers out there?
Eli Manning I like this week. He's had his ups and downs like always this season, but he's been a pretty stable quarterback so far as fantasy is concerned. And you all saw what Ben Roethlisberger did last week against Indianapolis Colts. Over 500 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, an amazing completion rate. Might have been one of the single greatest quarterback performances in a single game in NFL history. I don't quite expect Eli Manning to do the same to the Colts this week on Monday Night Football, but I expect him to surpass the 300-yard mark and throw for at least 2 touchdowns.
I'm a huge Le'Veon Bell fan for the Steelers. Man, the guy can run the ball. But I know a lot of people have different choices in their running backs than I do. Who do you think is going to be a good choice for the viewers?
Mark Ingram this week should be a pretty good start. He's coming off a career high in rushing yards against the Green Bay Packers. And when the Saints take on the Carolina Panthers for the division lead, I fully expect Mark Ingram to have another solid week.
I know there's a lot of wide receivers that clock in points every week, and there's many of them that you can choose from, but who do you think is going to be a good wide receiver this week?
T.Y. the Ghost Hilton for the Indianapolis Colts. Regardless if Reggie Wayne's in the lineup or not, T.Y. Hilton is becoming a top fantasy receiver in the NFL. And the secondary for the New York Giants has really struggled the past couple of home games in the Meadowlands, so look for T.Y. Hilton to have a big week against the Giants this week.
I know a lot of defenses go up and down. Some make negatives and some can blow up during the week, but then the next week they won't do the same thing. Who do you think is going to clock in points this week and be a top defense for the viewers?
Really a team you don't necessarily always think about. The Cleveland Browns defense is pretty solid defense, especially in this stretch where they've played some pretty bad teams, especially based on last year's record. Last week against Oakland, they had a good week. This week, I fully expect them to do the same when they take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I know there's a lot of people out there who are choosing players. Who do you think is going to be a top sleeper for them?
Texans receiver DeAndre Hopkins. Statistically, he's due for a breakout week. And I fully expect it to come this week against Philadelphia, who has their secondary and pass defense really struggles on the road. So look for DeAndre Hopkins to have a good game at home for Houston.
I know everybody hates waiting until about the middle of the week to get their player, but who do you think people have sitting in the waiver wire to get on their teams this week?
Denard Shoelace Robinson. Yes, Shoelace from Michigan is finally a must-have in most fantasy football leagues. Robinson's really taken the reins in the Jacksonville Jaguars backfield as they've really struggled to find that key guy, but Robinson's had back-to-back good weeks for the Jags. So look for Robinson to have another big week this week. So if he's available in your league, pick up Denard Robinson.
I know a lot of people are keeping players on the bench that are clocking in tons of points. Who do you think is going to be top stardoms this week?
Alfred Morris. Morris hasn't really been a go-to fantasy guy, but he's one of those week in, week out, consistent number putter-uppers in fantasy football. Not really that big week, but not really that small week either. And I fully expect Morris to have another pretty decent week this week against Miami. So I would start him running back if he's on your team.
I know there's a lot of players that are on the field that are making barely any points when they should be making 8 or 9, and they're probably making 1. Who do you think is going to come off the field this week and be a sit-em?
A lot of people have been picking up Carolina Panthers running back Jonathan Stewart lately. Well, not so fast. Landry Williams is set to come back this week against the Saints. So if you have Jonathan Stewart, I would recommend sitting him as his workload will at least be cut in half.
I know there's a bunch of injuries that are affecting the viewers out there. Some injuries have already happened and they went back on the field and they've been taken back off. And there's just completely new injuries that are on the new roster. What injuries do you think are going to affect the viewers?
Well, there's been some speculation about Ravens running back Justin Forsett. One day he's hurt, next day he's fine. I don't really know. I know he's listed as questionable, so keep an eye on him. And if you have the other running backs for Baltimore, make sure you put them in if you need them, if Forsett's out. As far as Rashad James is concerned for New York, it looked like he was going to be able to give it a go this week, but Tom Coughlin's already said he will be out once again this week against Indianapolis. So if you have Andre Williams and you need him to be playing instead of Jennings, put in Williams because he will get the workload this week. Monty Ball, he's once again going to be out for the Denver Broncos, and I fully expect Ronnie Hillman to have a big week. The weather's going to be pretty bad up there in Foxborough, so look for Peyton Manning to establish the run early and get the run game going. As far as Colts players are concerned, Reggie Wayne and Trent Richardson both still limited in practice this week. They might be a go, might not be, so keep an eye on that. They're coming off injuries they suffered 2 weeks ago. Everyone needs to keep an eye on the Cowboys. Jerry Jones says Tony Romo is fine. Well, that's not 100% true. Tony Romo should be okay to play this week, but if not, Brandon Weeden's going to get the start. So keep an eye on Tony Romo. And all you fantasy owners of Megatron, Calvin Johnson, you don't got to worry this week. You have to play somebody else anyways because Megatron is out because Detroit's on a bye.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Matthew Johnson.
And I'm Jared McMurray.
Please tune in next week to catch up on your fantasy football needs. And also keep an eye out for college basketball segments.
See you next week, folks.
Bye.